Greetings and salutations on this bright and sunshiny day here in central Louisiana, just 4 miles west of Dry Prong. It is beautiful today. The sun is out shining, the birds are singing, the flowers are blooming. It's a glorious day and everybody should be reveling in it. Count your blessings, folks. I'm counting mine today as I go back into the shop and tackle another challenge for myself. So that's what we will do today. Okay, yesterday I started on this rear axle, having to replace the seals here on this, I forget the technical term, it's the cap that goes on the end of the rear axle housing here. It has an oil seal that surrounds your axle, your drive axle, but I got in here and I got to looking and I said, it don't look quite right to me. And sure enough, it's not. Sure enough, it didn't look quite right to me. I said, something's not right here. We're missing some stuff. Looks like we're missing about at least 4 ball bearings there. I showed this to my mechanical engineering son, and he said, well, Dad, looks like you're going to have to get yourself a new bearing. He said, should be easy, should just pull right straight out. I said, no, son. You got to go up and you got to take everything off that I had assembled, thinking I was home free, so I can take this cast iron top off and get in and disconnect the shaft back in here. Well, there are some out there say, why do it the hard way? Take the PTO off and put a wrench in there and take that nut off. It's holding the shaft onto that gear. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. All I know is that I'm going to have to replace that bearing, and it's kind of slowed me up a little bit, but that's where we're at today. Good morning, and I've made a decision. Rather than trying to go through here in a tight space to get around and get to that nut, I'm going to go ahead and take the top off the rear transmission, the rear end here. Means I got to strip down a lot that I've already done, but guess what? It's probably going to be easier for a man of my age and dexterity to get into. It's an irritation because I was hard on my way toward finishing up, only to find that issue. So, but all this has got to come off so I can take this off. So, not too bad, but just an irritation. All right, we'll make picks and whatever as I go forward. Keep you posted. Okay, a magnetic tray full of bolts. I believe I've got all of them out. I know this is a guide pin, they're supposed to be. So these I put back in just to keep them locked in place. Well, how many take out? Alright, this may not be the easiest route, but it's the route I'm following. So we'll see what it looks like here when I get a chance to get the lift and try to lift this belt pulley assembly off and then the top of the rear end. Well, here we are, a few minutes of pumping on the hydraulic lift and got it up. Only dropped one thing on my foot and it wasn't this. This is the belt pulley assembly. It needs, while I have it off, I'll have to tear it on down and see if I can get into the oil seal in here, and we'll have to replace some gaskets because it's leaking a little bit. Definitely this gasket that goes around here will have to be replaced. So looks like I'm going to be doing some gasket cutting, doesn't it? Alright, after a lot of cussing, discussing, rigging and re-rigging, we are here. And this is the bolt I got to get to take that cap washer off, which will allow me to take the shaft and the housing off the other side. But before I can do any of that, we're going to have to block up under it so that shaft is not supporting this rear end. So, but here it is, after much cussing and discussing, fretting and fuming. It was a task I really didn't want to do, but I find myself doing. I did, in amongst all this, find 2 broken bolts. Here's one, here's 2. This is a pin, an alignment pin. There's its mate there, but these 2 I may be able to back up a pair of vice grips. Hopefully. Okay, we've got it to this point. come a little easier than I thought it would. I don't know how far I'm going to take this today. I'll probably stop about here for today. Good morning. Okay, it appears that I have got it up, cribbed up in the center there so I can take the right rear axle housing off. Now I'm using my Harbor Freight jack stand. Some people say, oh, don't use those, but as long as you don't bump it up, you're in good shape. So I think I'm in good shape here. Everything's looking good. I will get back to this later. I've been having to do some gyrating here to make sure I got room to come back in whenever I... Some would say I'm being doubly paranoid, but the front jack stand has got the weight. The rear jack stand is just there as a fail-safe in case the front jack stand fails. Hopefully when it drops, it'll drop onto that jack stand. So hopefully I've got it double covered. And there it is. That's the bolt that holds the shaft onto this gear spline. I understand what I've read that whenever I pull it on out, that gear's going to drop a little bit. But that's it. So we get to see what goes next. Alright, let's do a recap. This morning, I did jack it up and put an extra jack stand under in case the first jack stand gave away. The second one hopefully would catch it. I have removed the rear axle housing and it is crammed full of grease, which is not a problem, which should be good in normal operation, but made it extremely messy this morning. In taking it off, I didn't have any trouble getting off the bolts off the main frame to pull the housing off. I just didn't sling it right, and so it did drop to the floor, and it hit on the spine, splined in. I don't see any damage anywhere on it where it hit, so it's a hard piece. It did knock a divot in my concrete floor, but when it fell, it popped, and I just reached up and pulled this shaft completely out. It just slid right out of the bearings, or at least the inner bearing it slid right out of, which set back here. The outer bearing, I turned it upside down and put this in on the floor and just kind of touched it, and the bearing fell off. So now I have both bearings off. The inner bearing is smaller than the outer bearing. And they're both over here in paint thinner, and I am cleaning them up so they can be handled and take to town and get new bearings. You say, why am I replacing both bearings? Well, since the outer bearing was deemed to be bad, I took it to be the best idea to go ahead and do both of them on this side. So that's what I've done. However, when I go back to reassemble this, I will re-sling this in a better manner. I have some lift chains around here that I will bolt in right here to get this better balanced so I can lift it up without it falling and dropping on my foot. It did miss my foot this morning. I still have all my toes, but this is where I am today. I'm going